Alright guys, welcome back. This one's going to be a quick one. We're going to take a fast look at while loops. And what while loops do in Python is they will continue to do a set of instructions as long as that condition, that while loop, is true. To give you an example, let's do a quick variable num equals 0. And we're going to write a while loop. While num is less than 5, then do the following. Print current number is num. And then we're going to take num equals num plus 1. So as long as num is less than 5, it's going to continue to go through this loop. Once num adds num1 to 4 and equals 5, it will no longer go through this loop because now num will equal 5. It will no longer be less than 5. Alright? Alright, you'll see we just got a quick error here, and this is actually important to know. You'll notice that I cannot concatenate a string to an int. So right here we're trying to concatenate a string to an integer. A simple way to solve this is to just wrap that in a string and it works. Okay. Or you can also use the format method, which we've seen before. Alright, so now we have current number is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It did not reach 5 because that condition was no longer true. So that is a simple look at how while loops work. What does a break do in a while loop? Well, so a break will immediately break out of the code once it's reached. So, for example, if I put this exact same code in here, and there will be uses for this later on in our lessons, and I'll show you later, but if I was to say, hey, as long as num is less than 5, and I threw a break in here, you'll notice that it does nothing. And that's because it didn't even get to this print statement. When it hits the break, it completely exits the code and it no longer does any further instructions whatsoever in the code. All right, now the opposite of that is called a continue. All right, let's do a quick example of a continue. Let's say we wanted to go through only odd numbers, through a list of only odd numbers, 1 through 10. What we could do again is we can do num equals 0, okay? And then while num is less than 10, we're going to do something. And then, just like we did up here, num equals num plus 1. There is another way to write this. That's nice. And you can say num plus equals 1, okay? And what that does is that does exactly what this is doing. It's just adding 1 to num back to num. Okay? So that's what that does. And then if num, let's do if num is divisible by 2 equals 0. So now we're in an if statement. Then we're going to continue. Okay? And we're going to pop out and we're going to print num. Let me show you what this does. Alright, did exactly like we wanted to. It printed all odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And why it did that is as it went through here, if num was divisible by 2, then we didn't want it to print anything. We just want it to kick back into the loop. Okay, don't do anything, but continue on. And that's what it did. It continued on. It went back through the loop, and then while num was equal to 1, okay, it's not divisible, so instead it printed. Okay, it printed num for us. So that's a quick example of the continue statement. Lastly, avoiding infinite loops. Okay, infinite loops. I'm sorry. Avoiding infinite loops. So infinite loops can get you into some trouble. If you accidentally forget to do certain things, a loop might run forever. Okay, and so for example, right here with this one right here, I'm not going to do it because I don't want my my browser to get jammed up. But if you didn't have the break and you didn't have this, but you just said num equals 0, and while num is less than 5, then print this, this will run infinitely, because at no time does num ever grow bigger than 0, and num consistently is less than 5. So what happens is, if you're in a terminal, it freezes up. If you're in Jupyter, it freezes up. Sometimes you can get out of an infinite loop by stopping the kernel up here. Sometimes that doesn't work and you have to stop Jupyter entirely. But so just be careful that anytime you're writing for loops or if or while loops, make sure that there's always a condition that will exceed and stop that loop. So watch out for infinite loops. And join us in the next lesson where we're finally getting to functions, where everything starts to come together and we can start writing Python functional code. So I'll see you there.